Hey, you're watching Half Zip the Lockpick and Welder. On today's episode, I'm going to be picking and gutting the Mul-T-Lock Interactive. This was lent to me by Josh Butler, link in the description. Great channel, good guy, lots of good stuff, and he was nice enough to send me a bunch of stuff, one of them being this Mul-T-Lock Interactive. I'm a huge fan of Mul-T-Locks. I've got a Mul-T-Lock Junior that I've opened on video, picked and gutted on video. This is the second Mul-T-Lock that I've tried. This one's the interactive, and I still love them. I think they're just amazing locks. I don't know, I have like a thing for Mul-T-Lock. They just seem to work for me, which is great. Interesting, the Mul-T-Lock interactive, I didn't really know much about it before getting it, so didn't really know what to expect. I had some ideas through some videos that I watched. I heard that you have to set pin 2 first, because pin 2 is the interactive element. You can see on the key here that pin 2 clearly looks a little bit different than the rest of them. So I was thinking, well, what kind of crazy mechanism is inside here that I'm going to have to fight with to get this thing open? Well, thankfully, there's really nothing crazy inside this. It's actually interesting. Through a little bit of research and just looking at this lock itself and playing with it, I figured out what the interactive element's all about. It doesn't make it, in my opinion at least, it doesn't make it any more difficult to pick. What it does is it makes it much more difficult, if not impossible, to impression the key. So what's happened here is we've got, it's really hard to see, but if we look, there's this little spot here, and it moves. So just by looking at the key, if you were to impression the key, you've got no information on the depth of pin 2. Inside the core, in chamber 2, underneath chamber 2, there is a pin that's at a certain height. And what happens is when you slide the key in, that pin pushes up this little metal cylinder, or little metal pin, I guess, and to the correct height, and that sets pin 2. So, again, you can't impression the key because you don't know the depth of pin 2. Inside there's a little pin that pushes up on it and sets it. Now, from things that I've heard and seen online, one of them was Bosnian Bill's video. He mentioned, and a couple others mentioned, that pin 2 needs to be set first. Josh had mentioned, and from watching his video as well, that in this case, pin 2 doesn't need to be set first, and it's a little weird like that. Now, I've opened this quite a few times, actually, and I've found that pin 2 does actually need to be set first, but it seems like it's not. And I'll explain why. Pin 1 in this lock is a serrated pin. So as soon as you slide your pick underneath it, you're getting clicks. And it seems like, okay, I have to set pin 1 first. It doesn't really work out so well. What I found is that if I go pin 1 and then go through, set all the pins, I get into a false set. I now have to set pin 2. It drops everything, and then with pin 2 set, now I can go through set 1, 3, 4, 5. I get huge false set again, set all the inner pins, and it's open. So what I do is I slide under 1. I get a little click again because it's a serrated pin. I set 2. I go back and set 1, get into a false set, and then go through them, and then that seems to work out fairly well. So we're going to see how that goes in this case. Hopefully all works well. It's an interesting bidding as well. Pin 1 is so crazy high that there is barely a mark. This is definitely like the highest that it can be. There's barely, it's like a scratch on the key. It is so incredibly high. And then pin 5 is pretty much, I'm going to say that pin 5 is as low as it can be. So that's fun. That's a lot of fun. Anyway, let's get into it and see how this goes. Okay, so using the Sparrow's Black Flag set, this is the lowest flag. I was using the flat flag, but it's a little bit fat to get under some of these pins, especially 5, since 5 is cut so low. So this flat flag is nice and thin, and it gets in there nicely. So giving it a decent amount of tension, making sure that it binds. Not crazy, but not light. sliding under 1, I got like the tiniest little click, but I just want to pass by 1 and get to 2. And it feels like we got 2 set. So I'm going to go back to 1 and get a bunch of clicks out of 1, again, because it's a serrated pin. It feels like it might be there. We got a bit of a false set going on. Going to 3. Got 3 set. I think we dropped 1 again. Yeah, so 1 dropped. I might not have had it all the way. Probably need 1 more click. No, I think it was good actually. Oh, there we go. Okay, so on to 4. Feel much on 4. Oh, there we go. Okay, 4 is binding. If I can get under it. Come on, there we go. Click on 4. Moving on to 5. Getting under 5. Come on. Now 5 again is set super low. So it doesn't take much. So there we got 5. And 1 might need to be adjusted. No, 1 is good. So what are we missing here? I'm just checking all the pins. Something is not quite set. I'm just working on the outer pins right now as well. Oh, you know what? I didn't actually get 5. There we go. Okay, so we dropped into a nice big false set. All of the outer pins at this point should be done. So now I'm going to go through and just set all the inner pins. 1 is again set like to the freaking sky. And also, I haven't modified the black flags at all, and I have no issues getting inner pins on these Mul-T-Locks, which is really nice. And there we go. And it's open. Love this fucking lock. Excuse my French, but I love Mul-T-Locks. I don't know. I know that they're supposed to be like super hard with the pin-in-pin deal, but like I said earlier, I don't know. We have like this connection, Mul-T-Lock and I, and it just works. It just works really well. And I don't know. I love them. I can't wait to try more. Jesus Christ, I tightened that a little bit too much. Okay, let's get that out of the way. So if you look inside chamber 2 there, you see that there's a pin sticking up. If you look through the side, you can you see it? Not, well, kind of see it in there. It's definitely easier to see through the top. So that's the interactive element. Again, it does not make it any more difficult to pick. It just makes it so that you can't impression the key. I think it's great. It's cool as hell. It looks neat, but not what I was thinking. I was really under the impression that this was some kind of mechanism to make it more difficult to pick. But c'est la vie. It works, you know, whatever. Let's get these. So there you have it. Mul-T-Lock Interactive, picked and gutted, Josh, thank you so much, man. This was an awesome lock. I got to work on your other ones as well. The key mark is still giving me nightmares, but we'll look at that another time. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope maybe you even learned something from this. Hopefully, that's what I aim for. And yeah, thanks again, and take care.